Do you want to start with a clap so you can easily sync?
How do we know if we clap in the same time though?
That's a good point. There is a delay. How about, I don't know.
How do they do this?
3, 2, 1. You did it off on purpose.
No, I didn't. Hey everybody, my name is Adam.
And I'm Arden.
We're two brothers. If you couldn't tell by our matching black shirts, we know brothers like to match their same shirts. But yeah, we're two brothers working on video games. Yeah, we look almost identical, I know. We both have blurry instruments in the background. That's how I can also tell we're brothers. He reminded me in this video that he's in his 30s, but I'm in my 40s. But yeah, we're these kind of age guys with families and other jobs. And just want to kind of start sharing sort of our process to making games. Our company is called Lion Arc. We just released our first game called Ember the Werefox that we're pretty proud of. We just wanted to spend this time talking about our launch, which happened this past week, and then just sort of like process it, maybe go through some of like the tensions that we found, just kind of talk about marketing, and the main theme is eating your vegetables. And so
come eat your vegetables with us.
Splash screen of some kind.
Yeah, cool.
And then cut to the splash screen. There's our splash screen right there. So, hello, brother.
Hey, how's it going?
We released a game. Remember that?
I do. It was about a week ago.
Can you believe we actually did it, though?
I think so. It took way too long to release something. Yeah. And I feel like the last 2 years have been, I think we'll be done in about a month.
Right. Yeah, like the Da Vinci quote, like art's never finished, it's just abandoned.
Yeah, so we were finally ready to abandon
it.
Yeah. or mostly abandon it to the world to either play or not play.
It's a really harsh expression. We care about the game so much. It's kind of like we don't want to stop working on it.
Yeah.
And we're like, hopefully there's a reason to do a 1.1 where we can add some more stuff to it, because it's fun to add to,
Yeah, I still have all these ideas though.
Yeah, I know. Especially in the last month, as we've been like finishing stuff, we're like, ooh, and then we can do this, and it's like it's hard to stop ourselves, get some momentum with new designs.
The beauty of a deadline.
Yeah, it's true.
I think that's been one of the biggest things that has made this project take so long, is there is no deadline. So even if we're trying not to dream, we're free to just keep dreaming.
Yeah, as long as our wives don't get too mad at us, we can just keep going.
Exactly. Or as long as I don't get too mad at myself or get too discouraged.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for those who don't know, it started as just a game jam entry, and we were just like, well, let's just finish it. Let's just like make it a little bit better and sell it on Steam for $2 or whatever.
Yeah, it started as not even a great game jam entry, unfortunately. It started as Opera GX did a month-long jam. We were taking a break from our main project, and we spent a month on Ember the Werefox as a jam idea, mostly as like a little refresher break. I feel like we were 4 years in on our current project, and we're like, let's just do a game jam for a month for fun, right? Is that how you remember it?
Yeah, just kind of like a palate cleanse, just kind of fun to do something different, just commercial break.
Right. And then at that point, we were feeling like we were so far into our previous project, the stakes were high for finishing a game that when we had never finished a game before and we weren't close to the finish line, it felt like it was probably not the wisest idea for our very first commercial release to be something that took 6 years of our lives, and we still didn't really know what releasing a game looked like.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right. Like putting 8 years into it and not knowing what we're doing.
Yeah. So Ember, in a large part, was supposed to be, let's get our feet wet with releasing a game first.
And I think mission accomplished. I mean, if
That's
that
true.
was the goal, how do you feel about how it went?
That's a good point. We did it. We definitely released a commercial game. I think it's a fun game once you get into it and like understand the gameplay loop. I think there's a lot there to enjoy, and it does a good job of making each play session feel different enough. And yeah, I think it's a good overall. It's a good game.
I'm just really proud of it. It is weird talking about some of the game jam starting point, like the fact that that's what got this idea rolling, because it is like not necessarily the game that I think we would think to build, like with such a segmented day and night, and that's like the main hook, right? Is that there's two different modes, and each mode is so different, and they work together. I think some of the inspiration for that kind of came from like those times where we'd like be playing Terraria, and it's like during the day you're just like building up your base, and then at night all these zombies come and destroy you. There was like this glimmer of like something more dangerous in Terraria.
Yes.
That like was so fascinating.
Yes.
I feel like we're kind of tapping into that feeling a little bit with Ember. So I don't know if we stayed on that track enough to capture that, because we don't really have much crafting, and it's not really like you're rebuilding walls or anything. But just as far as like that day-night kind of tension goes, I feel like that was kind of like dictated the whole game kind of, and it's like I don't know if we would have necessarily done that as a choice for like the main hook of the game.
That's true.
Without a jam.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting choice to work on a game that, even from like an outside perspective, the hook wasn't super intriguing. But despite that, I think we came up with something that worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I think so.
It's crazy that it took 3 years to refine it enough to something that we liked enough to sell.
And I don't know how much that's just having unrealistic expectations, or like how much it is like quote unquote feature creep or polish creep, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
It's just like, we can't sell this. We wanted to be really proud of it, and I think just naturally we like well-developed games, like well-developed worlds, well-developed systems that like make the game feel like full, like you want to be there for, not just like an hour or two, but like 10 or 20 hours.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we developed.
Yeah.
Around such a small game concept.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And I think as we tried to just make the jam version into something that took, 10 hours to beat, the problem areas started to rise to the surface, where it's like, well, this system isn't really designed for running around in for 10 hours. It's designed for running around in for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So how do we change the design so that it feels interesting for that long?
I do wonder like how the game would have gone if we just kind of wrap up what we had with a layer of polish, not like adding content and polishing the content too, but just like, okay, it's fun for an hour or two.
Right.
I think it's kind of what we were trying to make. We just couldn't restrain ourselves.
I agree, and I think it's probably common for that to be the biggest temptation, maybe as a developer, is to
for sure,
to chase the what if, but it could be so cool if feeling.
Yeah, I mean, you play games to kind of enter this fantasy, and so we're fantasizing as we're building it, like just chasing the fun.
Yeah, which is a great thing I think it makes for a good game when you do that. But if you're chasing the fun and the game loop itself is kind of unusual, I think it just takes a lot more experimentation to figure out the answer to that question.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm proud of it. I'm glad we eventually put down like a stake in the ground and gave ourselves a deadline. It's funny because we had the same deadline last year, with October being the release date. It was like, it's like spooky month, and there's definitely like a kind of like a, it's like an innocent, Nintendo style game, like a Super Nintendo game, but it's got like a spooky vibe, kind of like I think we're tapping, especially early on designing the story and developing the story. There was a lot of like Stranger Things kind of elements, where there's like equivalent to like a Vecna type monster that you're facing off with, and there's all these spooky things that are happening, and you're a young girl. So I'd say a lot of like Stranger Things inspired kind of plot lines and stuff.
That's true.
So yeah, anyways, it just seemed like it made a lot of sense to like really make sure we got the game done when we did, But yeah, I'm glad that we almost had like an extra year from when we thought we could have released it. We had a chance to kind of go back and add a lot of like, well, what's fun about like roguelike games? What's fun about survivor-like games? And there's a lot of systems I think that we kind of borrowed from that we already know work well.
Yeah. Where
it's like maybe it would have been kind of a hollow experience without some of that like, dopamine loop, for lack of better terms, where it's like, I killed a few monsters, now I get a power, or like I made it the next day, I get this new girl power. And so I think we just kind of introduced a lot of fun things, at least in the end, that make like the moment to moment more rewarding.
Yeah, I agree. I think the game, the last 2 or 3 months of development, shifted pretty dramatically from a moment to moment player perspective. It's like a lot of the content was the same, but the way that you experienced it felt more rewarding or more risk reward oriented.
Yeah, and I think we kind of opened up a can of worms in a good way, where it's like, oh, there's a lot of options now. Like, this isn't just like I have my favorite attack style or my favorite outfit I can wear, but it's like that whole cool thing about roguelites, where it's like so many branching possibilities, where like you're never gonna have the same combination, and so yeah, just keeps it fresh along with all the other procedural stuff going on.
Yeah,
fun stuff.
Yeah, it worked out. Yeah, I agree. I think it ended in a good place.
Yeah.
Why do you think it took 3.5 years to finish Ember the Werefox?
When you look at like a regular indie game, I think a lot of indie games are made over the course of like 3 or 4 years, and so like that it's kind of normal. But it's just been interesting for us to balance our work lives and stuff to where, like, I think we really were only part-time this whole time. To varying degrees at different seasons for each of us, It's like when I closed the furniture business, it's like I couldn't really just be done with it. I had 2 other booths I was trying to keep up in other towns where I was like going and delivering furniture, and people still wanted to order furniture from us, and so it was like I couldn't really just like sever it and just work on games, and that had like a long tail, and I think just for each of us, I know you could speak a lot to like how your life evolved and stuff over those years as well. It's just like we're just dads, we're both working, and just it's hard to actually focus on it. So it's like I think you gave your stats of like you did about 12 and a half hours average a week over the last 3 years. So that's not, I mean, that's awesome. We can do that. Like we had the opportunity to do that, but it's still not even part-time, really.
Yeah, the math turns out, if you work 50 weeks a year, which is a lot. I mean, that's only 2 weeks off, and we know as dads how that's not how it works, but if you work 50 weeks a year at 40 hours a week, that's 2,000 hours. And according to the stats in the IDE, my project time is 2,200 hours. So I put about a year's worth of full-time effort into the game, which is an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes you think we did it pretty quick, in a way.
Yeah. Wow. If we could afford to do this full-time, we could make a game that size in a year? That seems crazy.
Yeah. To be fair, like, I think a lot of the breaks and a lot of the downtime and the fact we're not doing it all day every day probably makes us faster when we are doing it, right?
Right. Yeah, it's all the time that isn't spent thinking about it and wrestling with problems in your head and stuff that happens between work hours. I agree. My long drives to Alabama where I would just be thinking about the design of the game the whole time. Like that's not hours that I'm in the IDE.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also fascinating that how much it helps with burnout too, to have a pace that you simply can't sit there for 10 hours and just program all day, where it's kind of like creates a little bit of like you're waiting for it, like you're kind of like desiring to get back to it.
Yeah.
Well, how about we segue into some expectations versus reality?
Okay.
Did you feel like you had expectations going into Ember's launch, and we can share kind of what the reality is?
And this is probably true of any indie dev, except for the outliers, right? Except for the 5% that shoot to the top. It's probably true that for any indie dev, it's like, how do I get people interested in this game? Like, no one seems to care. But it seemed especially true with Ember. And I think because of that, my expectations weren't high. My hopes were, it's like the expression of expect little, so you won't be disappointed.
Yeah.
And not in a defeated way. I was and still am hopeful that it will do what it needs to do, or that it'll be what it should be, whatever that means. But I didn't expect a whole lot from it. I just hoped I was wrong. What about you?
Right. Yeah, I think similar. I think I was like, okay, we'll see if we're surprised, but we're gonna go in telling ourselves like this was just for us to learn. We got a lot better as game developers. So like if we sell 5 copies, that's That's fine.
Yeah.
We don't. I mean, we need the money. If we had the money, we could keep going at a better rate. But it's not like yeah, our lives are over or something if it doesn't do great.
Yeah, or the dream doesn't have to die, I think is the important part. The dream wasn't hinging on the success.
Which I think I felt pressure at first that it had to. Because quick backstory, like we closed that furniture store and used all of the money to fund me to work on games was kind of like how that went. Kind of. I mean, there's other benefits, and so I was like, okay, that was the investment on my side. You had your own investments, but it was like, okay, that was my investment, and did it pay off? Like, there was that like pressure, I guess, on me a little bit, and no one really put it on me, but maybe just myself. But yeah, so now it's like, okay, well, I have to see the benefit in a different light. Like, people go to college and spend way more money to get an education and maybe some like internship experience or something. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, we kind of got that.
Yeah,
we got schooled.
It's defining what does success actually mean for this project. Yeah. And I don't know that it was ever financial. It was just like, that would be really nice if also.
Yeah. And I think the things we learned too, like we talked about earlier, it's not stuff we wanted to learn on a big game. Like we learned it on a game that only took quote unquote a year full time to make, for each of us probably. Yeah. So
yeah. In that light, it's not bad.
Yeah. So like we learned, I'd say especially we learned we should have done marketing way better. We should have like shared the game along the way better, because I think for any game, especially any niche game, there's gonna be like people that would appreciate it if they would see it, And I think that's where it's like we've had this thing squirreled away for years and years that no one knew about, and then it's like you put it out there in a store that basically gets like a new game every hour. It feels like. Yeah. It's like, and unless there's some crazy reason for Steam to want to promote it, which why would they? It's like, okay, who's even going to see that? And so it's like, oh, we were supposed to find the people that wanted to play this game 2 years ago and start showing it to them. Right. So that's maybe as far as regrets go, that's the only regret, is that we didn't really build any kind of audience for such a niche game.
Yeah, I think that's part of the lesson learned of what is the business of making games, right? Like, the dream is that we can just put our heads down and work on it and release it when it's done, and don't have to do all of the business side of things like marketing and, not that we don't want to interact with people, but there's a workload involved, and it takes time to have something to put on social media and to, it's like, I'm just trying to make a game. I'm not trying to do all this networking is how it can feel sometimes.
Right. Yeah, and also just like the yuckiness of like trying to sell something.
Right.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I hate bugging people. We're both, I mean, I know I'm an introvert and I'm a people pleaser, so I don't want to like make people do anything. Like, yeah, you should just want to if it's cool, but they don't even know if it's cool because I'm too shy to even say, hey, look at this.
Yep.
Making ourselves do that stuff is why it didn't happen, but now it's like, oh, I have to now. Like, we're trying to like actually market a game that's available. It's like it's super hard to like, post it on groups or do ads or email YouTubers or anything, but it's like, oh, okay, this is like the actual work.
Yeah, the actual work is a good way of looking at it. The fun part is making the game, right? The actual work is making it a success.
I think it's better to like see that as something you're mixing in, It's like when our kids eat food, like they go for like the tasty thing first and eat it all.
So true.
And then it's like they have a pile of cold vegetables off to the side,
I think
it's so much better for yeah. But it's like you're gonna eat it at some point. You should just eat a bite of hot dog or whatever, and then eat some corn or whatever the options are. So it's like, I feel like that's maybe how game dev should be, and maybe that's how we should have done it better, is like, okay, eat your hot dog, enjoy it, but then like, let's look at how to like actually get the word out there. That's like the vegetables, right? So like, I think it's better if you kind of like tackle both at the same time.
Yeah.
So you don't have a pile of cold vegetables at the end.
I love that analogy. That's a good analogy. Yeah, share things when you're excited about them. Look at this new feature or whatever. That might be a good way of...
Yeah.
While they're hot still, so to speak.
Right, while they're still hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's easy to get in our heads about like being good enough or being polished enough.
Yeah.
Even for just doing something like this, like just a basic conversation. It's like you want to put your best foot forward to make an impression. So it's like, okay, do I have good screenshots I can share? It's going to take me like an hour to find them, and what if I don't in an hour? What if it takes 2 hours? But I think it's about maybe protecting that time, using some good time to make sure you just do it. Just set apart the time and just do it. Like consistently, like probably at least weekly.
Yeah. I think there's something about working on a game where like you kind of want to protect what you're working on.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the same way that you don't want someone looking over your shoulder while you're trying to draw a picture. No, I'm not ready to show this yet. Kind of protective instinct when you're working on something.
Like you don't want to have like 15 disclaimers on every single thing that's going on. So yeah, I think it's like easier just to like, I'm just going to hide the entire thing and not show anything until it's all completely 100% perfect, which never really happens.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be watched getting dressed or something. Like, I don't care if you look at me when my clothes are all the way on, but I don't want you to see like, it's obviously not something that should be like so vulnerable, but somehow it is.
Yeah. Is the answer to get over it and just share what you have once a week? Like, is that kind of the thought process behind being more visible?
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, I would guess like you get used to it and you realize like no one's really like judging that hard. No one really cares that much to begin with. You just show what you have. It's probably even more interesting if it's more vulnerable, right? Way more interesting than someone polished who's like all puffed up and acting like they know what they're talking about and
That's fair.
Has really high production, and it's just like kind of like that kind of comes across as like arrogant. And...
Yeah, when it feels like, look how cool I am, look what I did. Yeah. I think another part of it, I feel like if I were to try to do some sort of weekly rhythm of just sharing progress, it would feel a lot like, where's the story that is worth telling?
Yeah. How do you get to like a milestone where it like is a significant difference even?
Yeah.
The whole thing is really fluid, even with art. It's like I can finish an art piece, but it's like not really even fun to show it if it's like not in game and now you can see it working, and it's like so everything is so fluid that it's even hard to like put down a flag and say, look, we got to this hill.
Right. Yeah, and maybe that's the wrong approach. Maybe the approach would be more, come along with the journey with me. Here's the things I'm thinking about. Here's the problems I'm trying to solve. Maybe that's what's actually interesting, not the flag on the hill.
Yeah, I think so. I think seeing that progress, especially if it's like consistent, that engagement's interesting if it's just like along the way instead of popping out of nowhere, no one knows who you are. Look at this huge thing I worked on. And
yeah, it makes me think of, there's this creator on YouTube, he's probably in other places, but he's been doing a long series of shorts where I happened to come across the first one right around the time it happened, but he bought a house somewhere out in the woods in, I don't even know where, somewhere in Europe, I presume, for €5,000. And he's just slowly like renovating this thing that used to just be like overgrown in a jungly mountain sort of a feel. And just every couple days he's just like, hey, I bought a €5,000 house, like, and then he just shares what's been happening the last few days as he's trying to like renovate it. And I keep watching it because it's interesting to follow along with.
Yeah, the story's way more interesting than just like, no, it's a finished house. Like if all you ever saw was a finished house, it's like, so what?
Yeah.
I got like 1,000 of them right here around me.
Exactly.
So yeah, there's something about the story. And that guy, I don't know if you followed that guy that was like on the boat. I think his name's Oscar or something. The guy was going from the U.S. to I think Hawaii, just on like a little sailboat. And it was like he had like dangers, like, oh, this thing broke, I got to repair my mast or my ropes or however all the nautical things work. Yeah, and it was just like such an interesting story. It was kind of like over too quick when you're like, okay, now I'm here. It's like,
yeah,
that only took 2 weeks or whatever.
I was hooked though. Introduce another problem.
Right. So I think the things we feel vulnerable about are actually like part of what makes a story good, right?
Right. Probably.
Like I'm ashamed of how stupid this artwork I made looks, but maybe I'll figure it out. And then like you see it resolve, like, oh, good.
Yeah, that's a good point. Better. Share the failures. That's what makes it more interesting. Yeah. To take a step back, your original thought was, what were your expectations and what was reality?
I feel like reality is it's kind of too soon to know. I mean, like we alluded to, it didn't just like explode out of nowhere for no reason, which makes sense. And so the reality is, like, this is the real work. I should have been eating my vegetables this whole time, but I'm still going to eat them. Yeah. It's like at this point, you don't just give up after eating your hot dog. Like, if you want the dessert, you got to eat the vegetables too. And so the vegetables for me is like, I'm gonna do whatever I can for the next couple months, at least to just focus on marketing, just try to find our audience, try to get it out there. I know there's people that would really enjoy this game and don't know about it, and so it's like doing justice to the game and doing them a service for them to find it. Because I think, again, I think it's people want to play it, they just don't know about it. So
yeah, and I think that's a good point because there is an outlier of people that play Ember that seem to really enjoy it. Like if you can get through to a certain, I don't know if it's like the player has to get far enough or it just has to be interesting to them or what the magic formula might be, but there are a select few that really enjoy the game and are really understanding the design choices that we try to put in to make it fun, and it's clicking with them, right? So I think you're right. It's just there's something there to enjoy. You just got to find the people that would enjoy it, help them see, help them find it. That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, so we're not like selling snake oil or ice cubes to Eskimos, or the saying is. We're like, we have a good, valuable product. Got to find the people that want to play it.
Like, yes, of course, not every indie game will be for everyone. It's ludicrous to think that it would be. But how do you make the game you've created seem appealing enough to invest the time and money to enjoy the product? It's such a weird problem.
Right. We gotta cut through that somehow, and so I'm gonna do everything I can.
And on my end, there's still a few little, like, as more people are playing and giving feedback, I'm noticing more than I've realized that there's a few little like balance issues or little like player onboarding situations that might make the first hour more interesting or more pleasant, less likely to frustrate or turn off players. So I'll probably put, a little bit of time into a couple weeks, just trying to make that experience easier. Those are my vegetables.
Those are your vegetables. In a lot of ways, I think people look at Ember and see like, oh, this might be something kind of like Stardew Valley, but then they see a little bit of like fighting, and so it's almost like people aren't prepared for both sides to coexist, and so I think it's like we can only like tweak it so far to make the cozy gamer happy, or so far to like make like the whatever, like I just like hard games, I just want to fight and kill stuff, it's like you can't really, I feel like the game can't cater to either side very well, and like that's just how it is.
It's an inherent weakness. That's true.
And so no matter how much we tweak the game, unless we just take half of the game out, it's not going to appeal to both. It takes a really balanced player, again, which is a niche thing, I feel like, to have that overlap.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's true because a lot of games that have like a creative element and a dangerous element do a lot of like, oh, well, you can just play creative mode if you don't like the dangerous side. But there's not really a creative mode version of our game. Like, we can make the difficulty lower, but there would be nothing to do in a creative mode.
That's true. You gonna put 50 bonfires everywhere, I guess? I don't know.
The payoff is not a cool base or, something creative to share. So
we only designed the creative part for making the hard part easier, which I think works well. But again,
they serve each other. They're too ingrained to try to strip one of them out.
But just looking at the game, you don't realize that, and just playing the game, it takes a while to realize what the game is. So, anyways, I think it's maybe a lot of the things we've kind of learned from, not only from this marketing stuff, but also from game design in general, has been kind of helpful for us to kind of like look ahead and kind of feel like we have like a better balance, and like we can kind of like, we're more agile with our design skills or something, to where I think we're both excited about what else we can work on, as we still have this option of improving Ember if more people want us to work on it. But if not, it's like, okay, we got all kinds of cool ideas and stuff we could kind of pivot to that I think would utilize those skills we've developed.
What are some things that you've learned as a game developer or as an artist from the last 3.5 years that you can move forward with?
We realized as we started maybe marketing our game, We started looking at demographics and stuff. And we should have known this, right? But we realized too little too late that, like, oh, we're selling this game to basically different versions of ourselves. Like, the people that are attracted to the style of game with pixel art and, like, feels a little bit like a retro game, like a Super Nintendo era game, a 90s game, is like, oh, this is like 40-year-olds. So I think kind of with that in mind, I think that's shifted my perspective a lot, because we're the majority of us are like dads, or we're busy. We like things that remind us of being a kid, and we like to go, like, kind of have that escape and play those games. But I think a lot of it is like, people don't have hours to play games, and it's better for me if I can pick up a game for like 20 minutes on my Steam Deck, or even just like at my computer at night or whatever. Put the kids in bed, play a game for 30 minutes, an hour, do a couple runs of something.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of like that combination. Like, the nostalgia that people have, I think, has to be somewhat recognizable. Like, oh, this reminds me of the kind of game I would play, paired with, I have time to actually play this, and they kind of like smush those together. I think it's a really appealing game for our fellow 40-year-olds.
Hey, I'm not that old yet. 30s and 40s, okay? Oh, and by the way, if you're the 28-year-old that's enjoying this conversation, you're included too if you want to be.
Oh yeah, for sure. Anyone can play any game and enjoy it and get the most out of it. But it might have just not been the best design to imagine an 8-year-old playing Ember.
Yeah.
To learn lessons and to know what to not eat mushrooms, and like a lot of those thoughts we put into the design was like maybe geared towards our kids, not towards ourselves.
It's kind of, yeah, that's a good point. Just that we didn't think strongly about our demographic or our persona. Is that the marketing term? Like,
yeah,
who's the guy playing this game or the girl playing this game that we are making it for? Let's make sure we make it for them.
Yeah, I think we're so caught up in the challenge of making this balanced kind of game work so well that, like, yeah, we didn't really think about it as a product at all, which, feels kind of yucky to even go that way, but it is, right?
Yeah, it has to be.
And so, yeah, it's like there's this balance between, like, I don't want to sell out and just copy game mechanics, but I think there are, like, a lot of things that appeal to me that I would want to focus on that other people would also enjoy. That Venn diagram.
Yeah, that's good.
What about you?
The first thing that comes to mind is maybe not what I would expect myself to talk about, but I think a really big lesson learned, not only with Ember, but in my journey so far, is what it looks like to create something that's creative and vulnerable, and to process the hard opinions of people online, right? Like, it's really vulnerable, and really it can be really defeating to put something out that you've spent thousands or hundreds of hours on, and people just can rip it apart and say things about it out of frustration, probably, that just can be very defeating. And I think there's a skill to learn as a developer that wants to have products out in the world, where you have to be able to take all of that stuff kind of in stride and, like, not let it get to you. Like, treat criticism not as a way to feel offended, but treat criticism as a way to learn how you can improve as a designer. I don't mean that to say bend to the will of every opinion, but, like, there's a skill, and it's not an easy skill. And I'm still learning how to do it, but there's a skill to processing people's frustrations in a way that's productive for you as a designer.
Yeah, to, like, harness that and turn it into, like, a good thing that's, like, helping you.
Right.
Even.
Yeah, and a lot of times I think that skill of translating frustration into something positive isn't even necessarily, or probably often isn't, the solution that they're suggesting or the particular problem that they're highlighting. Instead, you have to, like, do this weird I'm the dev, you're the player brain math equation to figure out, like, what are they actually frustrated about, and what are some actual solutions, whether or not it has anything to do with what they're complaining about, you know?
You might not want what you think you want. So
Yeah.
you have to kind of know better.
On top of like doing that, there's a skill in not letting it get to your ego or like let it hurt your feelings too much.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting to me that that's such a big part of releasing something, is taking all of that in stride, not letting it hurt your feelings, and also like translating it into something that's valuable. It's a pretty complicated process, and I could see why it would be a huge turnoff or a huge disappointment to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I think that is a big, I don't know that it's a lesson learned, but it's like a skill to realize that I need to keep growing in.
I think the hard thing is that like our humility threshold doesn't scale very well. So like, you know, if I have a furniture store and I'm selling dressers and I have a black dresser and someone says, "Oh, I wanted a white dresser," I say, "Okay, I'll order your white dresser." But like, we spent years on this game, so say, I think it should be a teenage girl, not an 8-year-old. Like, well, dang it, I spent years, and this makes sense because she has a plush stuffed animal that she talks to and she hugs it to get more brave, and she's working through like these adolescent struggles. It's easy to get defensive because like we put so much into it. It's not just like a color of a dresser.
That's a good point.
I think you're right. I think what we were talking about earlier also helps a lot. If we got this game out and we had earlier feedback, like, it might be cooler if she was a teenager. We might start, we could talk about that. Like, we have to get rid of the plush aspect maybe, but it might be more appealing if she's a little more athletic and older and dealing with more like bigger issues. I don't know. It's like we could have like considered that more.
Yeah.
If we were putting ourselves out there before we, spent years on making a little girl into a little girl.
Yeah. Yeah. Into honing in a design that hinged on her being a little girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, but should she be? Oh, too late.
Yeah. Too late now. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed kind of learning and thinking with us as we are on a journey to just become indie devs or to become better indie devs.
Thanks for watching or listening.
Yeah. Like and subscribe if you feel like it. If you're interested, you will. You already did, so.
That's true. We're not selling nothing other than our game. Buy our game.
Other than our games.
So liking, I can read, Lord.